My sister gets more angry. And I'm like, well, yeah, why are you accepting this behavior? She's like, because that's our dad.
So she has constrained herself. No one else has done this. She's done this to herself. She's constrained herself to this little box of dogma that's about loyalty to family and stuff.
Because nobody's doing.
And then her inner child is suffering and pushing the anger button, doot, 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 right? Trying to say, and what's anger? We talked about it earlier. Anger is the energy that comes from the subconscious that is given to you to say, here's a bunch of excess energy so you can change the situation. And then she doesn't change the situation. So he just keeps hitting the button. He's just like, anger, 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 anger.
So he's the fire for the change.
It absolutely. At least that's the way I see it. Anger hides sadness and fear. Anger is a secondary emotion that is sitting on top of sadness and fear, almost always.
So, again?
Anger is what we call a secondary emotion. You're not actually feeling anger. You're feeling sadness and fear. But sadness and fear have a downward energy level. Like if you sink into sadness, you sink into inaction.
Yes.
If you sink into fear, you isolate, you move away from the situation, you separate yourself from the threat, but nothing changes. So sadness and fear are actually non-productive emotions. And so in a situation where you feel like there's literally no hope of change, you will probably sink into sadness and fear and will feel like depression. But if there's some part of your subconscious that says, this can be different, it will go to anger, very likely. And it'll go anger, 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 because if I can hijack your system, flood your system with, push the anger level up to 10 and hijack the system, you're going to be a wild, raging animal. And you're going to do something crazy, which may bring change to the system. Think of it this way. Our system, deep down, instinctively, all the way down in the deepest levels of genetic memory, we know that almost any situation can be solved, any situation we don't like can be solved by killing something, which is why humans are so violent. Is that like, if that dinosaur comes and I don't want that dinosaur in my home, I murder it. Problem done, right? The wolf comes into my, near the fire, and the wolf is threatening my baby, I kill the wolf, problem goes away. We have this fundamental cause and effect mathematical equation, problem comes, kill it, and the problem goes away. I don't have to deal with the problem anymore. Well, that's a fundamental part of our psychology that is just always alive. And so now we're in a situation where I'm interacting with someone and I know that I can't murder them, right? So I've got all these like societal rules on, but if we roll the clock back 200 years, that's exactly how it worked. You're just like, bang, or I'm thinking of the old Wild West in America, or even the Dutch colonials here. It's like you go into a village, you don't like what's going on with the chieftain, you just murder him, and you're just like, okay, problem solved, right? So this is a way that our psyche works, right? Well, now we've developed all these social rules that says that's not okay. So it's like, well, now what? Well, violence. I believe violence is a proxy for killing, and anger is a proxy for violence. Anger is violence of emotion, violence of thought. So that's the continuum that I believe is there, is that the subconscious down here saying, we need to change something, we want the problem to go away, I'm going to hit the anger button, so I flood your system with all these stress hormones and endorphins and things, so that you will take wild action without a lot of thought. Maybe you'll murder it, and the problem will go away. I know that's wild, but it's like, I believe that description will accurately describe almost every anger, violent conflict in human experience. It's on that spectrum somewhere. Is that like, I know I can't murder them, but I'm just going to be violent to them. I'm going to beat him up. I'm going to smash his face in. Or we say, oh, well, I can't do that. Well, now I'm just going to shout and yell harsh words. And it's like, okay, well, now I can't do that. Well, now I'm going to be over here. I'm going to be super angry inside myself. I'm just going to give them a really evil glare, right? It's just like, well, how good is that working, right? So I feel like that's all just one continuum of emotion, is that if you were to take that person who's giving the angry, evil glare at the cocktail party, and you said, okay, freeze frame, wind the clock back 200, 300, 400 years, and we put all the same people in that same room and that same conflict is happening, that person will probably just walk over and kill the other one. Just be like, you're in a neighboring tribe, I don't like you, they're threatening my man, or you're threatening to take my man away, you're threatening to take my food away, you're threatening to take my safety away, or whatever. If I just kill you, problem is solved. And so I feel like what we've done is we've socialized out the actual physical violence into verbal violence, into just like kind of this weird passive aggressive violence.
Yeah.
But we've got, 100 million years of evolution where we could be as violent as we wanted. So now we've put ourselves in this little box.
So we have violence ourselves as well.
Yes. So now it just creates this further war inside ourselves. And I'm like, I need to enact change. The way I enact change is through violence or anger or whatever. But I can't. Like the inhibitive portion of the conscious brain comes online and says we can't do that. So now the kids down here being like, but we spent a million years where this was the right answer. Now you're telling me it's not the right answer? He's like, no, it's not. It's like, well, then what? Because I got nothing. And this is where we are now.
What is the emotional frustration?
Oh, frustration. Hold on. Frustration is very close to anger. Yeah, I've been in a lot of situations where I'm like, I'm not angry, I'm just frustrated. And the person on the other end is like, but they're like, but I feel that you're angry, right? So they feel anger.
Like you're not exploding.
Frustration, I feel like, is this thing where I haven't the drive. I think frustration is this idea that I can see the answer, the change I'm seeking is within reach. It's actually possible. But then something says no. To me, that's how I would describe frustration. Is that it's like this, we would be fine if you would just do this and I did this and we,
You have the answer, but
right.
You cannot get it.
Right. And it's just like, and then you reach for the answer and you realize it can't happen, and forces greater than yourself are actually pushing back against you. And I realize, oh, well, now I can just see it, but I know it's not reachable. And now I just sit here and kind of marinate in my own misery, because at that point in time, for me, the next thing that happens is hopelessness. So I'm like, oh, I'm in a situation that I can't make
That's
any.
How I feel.
Yeah.
The frustration that comes.
Yep.
From not being able to do anything, and
Yeah.
you're like, I'm hopeless.
Yeah.
What do I do with this?
Exactly. And it's like, and then you're in this situation where everyone else is like, why are you being so emotional about this? I mean, I'm speaking from my own experience now. You can be in this situation where it's like, I see the answer and it's like, and it's tasty. It's like, if we could get over there, I'd be having a grand time and I'd be happy and fun and this is be exciting, but you won't let me, the rest of you guys won't let us get there. You're actively pushing back against me. And I can't overcome all of you. So I just can't. So that means I'm stuck exactly where I am, and this is not fun. So I can see fun over there, and I can see the route in which I would go there, but these people are stopping me. And so now I'm stuck where I am. And now I've got resentment for all these people that stood in my way. And I've got hopelessness that my life will actually get better. That's the challenge. That's what it feels like for me. I don't think I've ever described it. I don't think I've ever described that before.